stand-up like you. Hosted by four-time Emmy-nominated producer Frank Payton and retired New York City firefighter, 9/11 first responder, and Vietnam vet, Billy O'Connor.
Yes. Actor, Bosch Legacy, Jackie Chiles on Seinfeld, Phil Morris.
Ooh. My brother
Frank, how are you today, pal?
Good, how are you?
Good, pretty good.
We got Phil Morris on today. He's going to be a terrific guest. You may know him as Jackie Chiles.
That's the only way I ever knew him.
But you should know him for a lot of other things. Most recently, a starring role in Bosch Legacy. He's continue his second season next year.
Yeah, it's a fine show, that Bosch. A good show. Well done. It's not blown out of shape. You know, it's pretty good show. And, he is terrific in it.
Yep. So last week we had the Pump Brothers on. I forgot to talk. Let me figure out what's going on with my glasses here first. I got two pair of glasses on. I don't need two pair of glasses on. Discard them to the side.
Those will definitely be stepped on.
I forgot to mention, when I was at the Pump Brothers once, my car was stolen.
What?
My car was stolen.
Was this in Beverly Hills?
No, they're in the valley, in Van Nuys or something.
So you were at their house?
No, I was at their office.
Oh, okay.
And I came out, and
The Rolls Royce was stolen, huh?
the Lexus was stolen, and I had to go to report it. Reported it stolen. They said in 3 weeks, if it's not back, it's not coming back. But I had to wait 3 weeks to file an insurance claim. So it had to be gone for 3 weeks before I can file the insurance claim.
Really? That's standard procedure in L.A.?
I guess. So 2 weeks plus 6 days, I got a phone call, and they said, we found a car.
But it ain't worth having.
And they said it was about 3 blocks from where you reported it stolen. But it had 500 miles.
Wow.
So my guess is that they went to Vegas. They took a ride to Vegas. They came home.
Thanks for the ride.
Parked the car. And thanks for the ride. I got the.
Was it not damaged or anything?
No. Well, there was a nick in the windshield, so I got the windshield replaced. And
somebody borrowed your car.
Somebody borrowed a car, took it for 3 weeks.
The Pump Brothers.
I was going to the Pump Brothers office.
Now, it's interesting how the cops told you in L.A. you got to wait 3 weeks before we can really say it's stolen. I'll tell you, I did an insurance job on a car I had in the Bronx, right? Because, I had this old Cadillac. The guy sold me this old beat-up Cadillac. I guess it was, let's see, it was about 20-year-old Cadillac, old big blue Cadillac, Fleetwood or something. And I paid $2,000 for it. And I was going to use it as a ghetto car, to go back and forth to the firehouse. So I figured nobody's going to mess with this old caddy. Well, lo and behold, I had the thing 2 days. I got drunk and I ran it into a wall, right? I mean, fell asleep coming down a hill and hit a wall. Smashed the whole. It was $2,000. I said, well, I'm not going to be out $2,000 in 3 days. I ain't got money for an old car. I need a car. I'll do an insurance job on it. So I took it down to the firehouse. Because the firehouse is in the South Bronx, where all the chop shops are, right? So I take it down to the firehouse, park it outside. I wait till about 12 o'clock at night. I got my radio. I says to the guy in House Watch, listen, if we get a run, I said, you got to yell into the radio right away. I'm going to drive my Cadillac about 4 blocks from here. I said, where all the chop shops are. I'm going to leave it there and report the car stolen. Because I know they're going to chop it up. In South Bronx, they're going to have this thing cut up like a Richard Petty pit stop. They're going to, no problem. So I parked the car about 4 blocks away. I run back to the firehouse just in case we get a job. I don't want to get caught short. I no sooner get in the door of the firehouse, I said, oh, shit. I forgot to take the Bam Bam, the tool that pulls the ignition out, right? Because the cops are going to find the car. They're going to say, how'd the car get here? Somebody had a key. The ignition's still in there. I said, I got to go back. I tell the house watch guy, I got to go back. I says, stay on the radio. I run back. I get back there. This couldn't be more than 25 minutes. The car is up on 4 boxes. There's not only no ignition, there's no dashboard. All the interior is missing. All the seats, everything's gone. So I start laughing. I said, fucking South Bronx, right? It's amazing. I run back to the firehouse. Now, next morning, I go to the police station. 40, right down the block. I walk in at 9 o'clock. I'm, hey, Sarge, I'm a fireman around the corner. I said, my car was stolen last night. Guy said, no problem. Fill out this police report here, stolen car vehicle. So I'm filling out the thing and everything. And I says, just to make it look good, I look up at the sergeant. I says, so Sarge, what's the chance you're going to find my car? The guy says, hey, listen to this shit. He says, I got a fireman here. He wants to know what's the odds of us finding his car. Can you believe this fucking guy? I start laughing. I mean, just the place, I swear to God, Richard Petty's crew couldn't have stripped that car as fast as they did the South Bronx.
That's pretty funny.
It's amazing. Amazing.
It's pretty funny. Well, if they had found your car, you could have called Jackie Chiles
Jackie Chiles
to defend you.
He would have been the guy, the perfect lawyer for the South Bronx.
He would have been the perfect guy, perfect lawyer for the South Bronx.
What a character he developed.
What
a character.
Why don't we show a clip of Phil Morris as Jackie Chiles, Derek?
So, my friend and I, we were going to the movies, and we stopped off and bought this cafe latte.
Mm-hmm. What is that, like Italian coffee?
Yeah, that's right.
Half milk, half coffee?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You take a sip?
Yes, I did.
Now, when you took a sip, did you notice it was hot? Were you able to sip it in your normal fashion?
No, I wasn't able to sip it in my normal fashion.
Mm-hmm. All right. You take big sips?
Well, I think I take a normal sip.
Okay, you take normal sips, nothing wrong with that. Then what happened?
Well, they don't allow outside drinks in the movie theater, so I had to put it in my shirt and sneak it in.
Yeah, see, they like to sell their own coffee.
Yeah. Now, is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for them. This is a clear violation of your rights as a consumer. It's an infringement on your constitutional rights. It's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
It's definitely preposterous.
So, then what happened?
Well, I was trying to get to my seat, and I had to step over someone, and I kind of got pushed, and it spilt on me.
Was there a top on it?
Yeah.
Did you put the top on, or did they put the top on for you?
They put the top on.
And they made the top. You didn't make the top, did you? Susie, I want you to go down to Java World. Get me a cafe latte with a top. We're going to run some tests on that top.
Wow.
Have you been to the doctor?
No, I haven't.
Susie, call Dr. Bison. Set up an appointment for Mr. Kramer here. Tell him it's for me.
So, what do you think, Mr. Chiles?
Jackie,
I mean, we got a chance?
do we have a chance? You get me one coffee drinker on that jury, you going to walk out of there a rich man.
Phil Morris.
Oh,
How are you, my friend?
I am wonderful, magical. Hold on, let me turn on my beauty light. 1 second.
Okay.
I got to look more beautiful for you guys. Oh no, this is technology at its finest, guys. No, this is good. Hey,
How are you?
I'm all right.
Phil, nice to know you,
Billy
brother. Pleasure to
O'Connor?
meet you. Pleasure.
Billy O'Connor there. There's Derek
Pleasure.
Harris.
Hello. How are you?
How are you?
Good stuff, man.
I mean,
Really good stuff.
look at you. I can't believe you're fucking 63 years old.
Yeah, well, look at the gray in my.
Yeah, well, if you took
My
that
mouth.
out, which you have done many times, I'm sure, for parts.
Only for parts.
Yeah, I know. But for parts, they have, I mean, you're in Bosch Legacy now.
Yeah.
I think your hair is colored in that, isn't it?
Yeah, is it in that? I don't think so. I don't think so.
You
But
play-
I would do it if I had to.
You play a dastardly dude in that, don't you?
What do we call him? We call him enigmatic.
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 I was watching it, and I was sure you were going to die in the end, and then I got the notion that maybe they liked you, so you're coming back next season.
Well, Frank, I'm not supposed to speak of these things.
Well, I can speak of it because I'm a producer, and I saw it, and I deduced that they wouldn't leave you lying in a sack if you were dead.
Well, let me tell you the story because, listen, I've been reading both of your books. I have to tell you, I love both of them for
that's
different
very kind.
reasons.
Very kind.
But I wanted you to know I am reading them. And I know when people send you things and they're like, oh, sure, I read it. And they didn't read it. They just give you lip service. But because Frank's book is so good, and it really is about the Hollywood behind the scenes, kind of how the sausage is made a little bit. I'll tell you the story about this Bosch thing. Titus Welliver, who's the star of it, is just a great guy. And he turned out to be a big fan of my father's. So
Greg
when
Morris.
he saw my audition, my father,
Greg Morris.
Greg Morris, from the original Mission Impossible series, not Ving Rhames from the movies,
Right.
but from the original series, just for the fans. But Titus was a huge fan of my father's, and when he saw my audition tape, he just like sparked to it. And the producers are like, "Well, you know this guy?" And he's like, "No, that's Greg Morris's son. Yeah, I know his work, but we got to hire him. He's legacy. He's great." So he and I got on like a house on fire from the moment I met him. And I was only supposed to do 3 episodes. I ended up doing 8 of the 10 of that season. Again, Frank, I fully thought I was going to get killed as well in the final episode, which was written by Titus and Michael Connolly. And they saw fit not to kill me. So hopefully that means that portends good things in the future. I love working on the show.
You're such a bad guy. Hopefully it portends good things in the future.
Let me ask you a question, Phil. When Frank asked you, did you dye your hair for that part? You said you was thinking about, no, I don't think I did. How long ago did you shoot that part that it's showing now? I mean,
well, we shot it. No, that season was shot over a year ago, and I've done another season of another show that I do called Doom Patrol for HBO Max. So maybe he's just grown out a little bit. I don't know. I mean, maybe they did tint it a bit, but I don't dye my hair, man, because in real life, if you dye it and you got to lie about it later, they're like, one day you look, 60, and the next day you look 42.
Yeah. Well, for you, it's one day you look 50, and the next day you look 42. It's unbelievable. I mean, I had lunch with you. You look better on camera than you did in person, and you look pretty good in person.
Thank you, brother.
That's that martial arts, all that martial arts stuff. Yeah, sure.
Well, it's that, and I found, man, look what I do. I do this magical gig that is so special, and I really get it, and I learned a lot of it from my father, obviously, and I took to it from then. And it's, if you're doing something that you love, your spirit is healthy. And I guess if your spirit is healthy, then you're healthy.
Well, you had a pretty interesting upbringing, didn't you?
Very much so. My father became famous in Mission Impossible when I was 7. So that was not the #1 show in the country. It was the #1 show in the world. And at that time, he was a big groundbreaker, and we were so proud. But it changed our lives exponentially. If you see pictures of us from when he first started, and I have some pictures from, we had a photo session on Larchmont right there by Paramount Studios in 1966. I'm 7 years old. And when you look at those pictures, I have no clue what's going on. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why we're taking pictures. They're telling me, okay, now look at your dad. You love your dad. I'm like, yeah, of course I love my dad. No clue. You see us 25 years later on the cover of Ebony magazine. That's a family who understood that they were in the Hollywood spotlight.
Well, it said, when I was doing research on you, Phil, it said that you were an acting protege of Peter Graves. Were you close to Peter Graves in Mission Impossible?
Very close. And it was, he was my Uncle Peter when I was growing up, because, you have your play uncles and stuff. And I had no idea that they would bring Mission Impossible back during the writer's strike. And they hired Peter. Peter asked to be in the show. And so I'm now working with my Uncle Peter Graves. And it was just phenomenal. He wasn't necessarily my acting coach, but he gave me so many professional tips, so many ways to handle yourself on a set. And one of the reasons I love Frank's book is because it does talk about the humanistic aspect of this business that so many people see as ethereal and romantic and magical. And yes, it is all those things. But there are real people who really work their asses off to do this amazing job. And my father and my Uncle Peter taught me how important it was to respect the craft of acting, and as it pertained to the craft of making good television.
And Sidney Poitier was one of your role models growing up?
Absolutely. In fact, I have a movie, hopefully, that we're going to get ready to do, that I took to Sidney, and he kind of blessed it prior to his passing. Rest in power, Mr. Poitier. But these were the people that were in my household when I was growing up, Frank. And you say, having an amazing upbringing. These were the influences. These were the cream of the crop. This is top shelf alcohol. These people were as incandescent as they get. And whether it was a Bill Cosby or Harry Belafonte, Isaac Hayes, or so many people came by my father's house and played pool, and like they say, chopped it up. that I couldn't help but be affected by this business in a very, very personal way.
Do you feel that put extra pressure on you to be an actor or to succeed in whatever you tried? Or did you always know you were going to be an actor?
I didn't always know I was going to be an actor. I'm an athlete. I started as an athlete, running track, martial arts, basketball, all that stuff. And then I got into automotive design. I love cars. And so I went to Art Center for a little bit. And I went on a summer vacation or summer job vacation with my father. And Frank, again, this speaks to, and Billy, this speaks to my upbringing. The movie wasn't just a movie. It was a movie that starred my father, Billy D. Williams, Henry Fonda, Chad Everett, Merle Haggard, Buck Henry. I mean, these were, so Randy Brooks, Carl Franklin, the brilliant director. That was my first experience in my own journey as an actor. Wow. And so when I came back from that location, I'm like, I am in. But to answer your question, Frank, yeah, I felt a lot of pressure to be successful. That's all I knew. All I knew was this guy was a star. So when I started acting, that's what I expected to be. Very difficult for a young actor to expect to be a star when they start out. I don't even know what that means now. Right. You know, I just know what it means to be a good actor. And when you do that and it resonates, I suppose that leads you to that. But it was a double-edged sword. I learned a lot, but I also felt like I deserved a lot. And you got to work for this stuff. It don't come to you just because you're Greg Morris's son or you're good looking or you wear your clothes well. You got to work your ass off. And when I learned that, then everything kind of came together for me. But I think I struggled a little bit with my ego early on.
The difference, I guess, between being an actor and a movie star is night and day, right? I mean, one thing, you're a television star or you're an actor. They're not really the same thing, right? They're not necessarily compatible. Right.
Well, Frank, you can speak to that probably better than I can.
Well, I think the question was, with all respect to Billy, misstated. Because it was, the difference between being a working actor and being a star are two different things. Greg is a working actor. He's not a huge star. Right. Rusty Russ, who was on, is a working actor. He's not a star. Even Stephen Lang is a working actor, not a star. It's a big leap between being a working actor and being a Tom Cruise.
Right.
I totally agree.
Being a George Clooney.
Right.
Being
totally
a Sandy Bullock.
Gotcha.
Those people are stars. People like Greg are, guys who wake up every morning on the first of the year and looking to make their nut. And that's a little bit. That's, kind of, Greg has always been in that situation. It's a good thing to be in because how long have you been doing it now? 40 years?
I started at 18 years old. I'm 63. So 48 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've endured and you're an amazing, amazing success because you're still in demand. You're still working. And you're relatively, you're a star, but you're not a star that everybody knows. You're not.
Absolutely. I haven't had that vehicle in a way, right? You need that vehicle that then resonates with the public. And, I'm proud of the work I've done. I'm proud of the work I will do. It's a blessing. There's so many talented people out here that, it's a little bit of luck. It's hopefully a lot of talent, but hey, man, there's a lot of folks out in here in this ocean. And if you're getting a nibble, count yourself lucky and keep working your butt off.
Yeah. And by being a star, I mean that you can walk the streets without, you don't have to rent a movie theater like Elvis or Michael Jackson to go to the movie theater at night. You can live a relatively normal life and do the work that you want to do and, still be, I don't want to say relatively anonymous, but relatively anonymous.
I call it familiar.
Familiar.
Yeah. I'm familiar. Familiar's cool.
I know that guy from somewhere.
Yeah.
Where do I know him from? That's the big deal. That's a big deal. But, when you did Jackie Chiles, which we interviewed, we played a clip of Jackie Chiles to introduce you. That was on the #1 show in television. What was that experience like for you?
I I love this business. This is why, because the process itself is almost like a needle in the haystack thing, because there's so many talented people. My agents were told Seinfeld is looking for someone who can approximate the Johnny Cochran energy that they were seeing every day in the OJ trial, which was in our faces for a couple of years, right? Full on in the OJ trial, getting to the end, and they wanted a construct of Johnny Cochran. Well, I had been going to the same barbershop as Johnny Cochran since I was 8 or 9. So I knew his patter, I knew his mindset beyond the OJ trial. And then I was brought up with this guy, Greg Morris, who's just a street hustler from Cleveland, who made it good because he was intelligent and talented and beautiful. And I knew a whole bunch of street corner preachers because they were my relatives and stuff. So I kind of mixed in what I knew about Johnny, my father, a bunch of hustlers, and I came up with this Jackie Chiles character. And so I walked in, and there was only a couple of us that pre-read for the casting director, Mark. And I had like one line. I said one line. He goes, "Okay, you got it." And we went over to Jerry's office, and Jerry was there. Larry David was there. And I start doing my thing. And Jerry goes, "Hold on." And for an actor in the middle of an audition to be told, "Hold on," you're not quite sure what's going on, right? But Jerry goes over to the thermostat. It was a very hot day. And he turns the air conditioning up. And he says, "Man, you're so funny. You're making me sweat." Wow. And
wow.
Yeah, that's how I got the job.
That's fantastic. The concept of, they wanted the Johnny Cochran type person, but you, like you said, you had already had the caricature in your head. Was it David that was pushing for that, or was it Seinfeld? Was it both of them, or was it?
I would think it's Larry David more. This is why I think Larry wrote that character. And then even in the final episode, I wasn't there. I was shooting another show. I could not be at the table read for the final episode. Larry was the one who read my character at the table. He wouldn't let anybody read Jackie except him. And so when I showed up on the first day of rehearsal, he was the one directing me, not Andy Ackerman. Larry was the one directing me. He was the one who wrote my opening speech. So I fully think it was Larry David's crazy, beautiful, insane mind that came up with Jackie.
And how many episodes did you do?
That's a bone of contention, Frank. I think I did 5, and then the finale, which is 6, all told.
Yeah, that was a great scene. The finale was a great scene.
Yeah,
where you got up with the girl and walked out.
Ooh.
They're real and they're spectacular. That's
a funny story, because when I got to set, I'm all dressed as Jackie, right? They put me in the mustache. So I'm ready to shoot. And Larry's like, "No, you're shooting the bed scene with Terry Hatcher. Take all that stuff off."
Wow. Oh, wow.
I know. I had never met her. It's like, "Hey, this is Terry Hatcher film, or so jump in the bed now." Yeah, that's how it goes.
Wow.
An amazing character. And what I understand, Johnny Cochran actually liked the character, right? He liked it what you were doing on Seinfeld.
He loved it until I got like 4 Honda commercials and a Diet Dr. Pepper ad and something else. And then I got a letter from his office saying cease and desist because I was making him look bad. And, he'd already signed a letter giving those rights away. So he had no recourse.
Oh, wow. But did it stop you from doing more commercials? You could have did a lot more commercials, right?
No, as a matter of fact, I have this amazing campaign running right now, Billy. The Hanover of Snyder's pretzel.
Right,
people.
I've seen it. It's terrific.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it's terrific.
Well, if you want, we'll show you one. Just
I want to see it.
Show the audience
one.
One.
It's terrific.
Give me a second.
It'll take Derek maybe a second to pull it up, but. Can you see it, Phil?
Yes.
Okay.
That's terrific.
Did you buy Snyder's pretzel pieces expecting normal pretzel-flavored pretzels? Were you shocked by the outrageous, audacious, egregious flavor of a spicy, hot buffalo wing? You may be entitled to compensation in the form of free pretzel pieces for life. Hey, what is this? What do you mean we settling on free pretzel pieces for life?
Call now for your chance to win free Snyder's pretzel pieces for life. Data charges may apply.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, no.
That's pretty funny.
Thank you.
Did you buy Snyder's pretzel pieces expecting
normal
pretzel
pretzels? Stuff like that, you guys.
Were you shocked by the outrageous?
The best way to do it, just have a good time all day.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to be like when you immerse yourself in a character like that. I mean, it's obvious. Jackie Chiles, Johnny Cochran, the same initials, and of course, the vocabulary, well dressed. I mean, but you really, really blew me away with that part. I mean, I love Jackie Chiles. I mean, just one of the funniest characters on the show, and a lot of good ensemble characters in that
When
show.
I told Billy that you were coming on, he said, "Oh my God, Jackie Chiles."
My son's obsessed with.
He said, "That's exactly what you said to me."
My son's almost 40. He's obsessed with your character. Obsessed. He thinks it's hilarious. Honest to God, and I don't blame him. That's a terrific. I thought Seinfeld, and I'm a big fan of Seinfeld. And I always thought it wasn't going to go big nationally because it's such a New York show. I mean, the guys in the diner and, the whole, it's a real New York show, but it went national, blew up. But the ensemble cast to me is probably one of the best ever created. I mean, every bit character they had on it was terrific.
I think, Billy, you're absolutely right. And, Frank and I have seen a lot of comedies and a lot of four cameras. And I just thought it was a special group. And when you have two creators like a Larry David and a Jerry Seinfeld who have this inner voice that is so strong and that kind of goes against the conventional wisdom of at that time sitcoms, which were a little formulaic, man, some special stuff can come out. And then you add in a Michael Richards and a Jason Alexander and a Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and their casting people were amazing because they did bring in some of the greatest cast, supporting cast that television has seen. Each one of those members in the courtroom in the final episode could have had their own series. No joke. And a lot of them did.
I agree with you 300%.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
How many of the Hanover spots did you do?
I don't know, because we shot, how they do it. We shot all day, 12 hours.
Right.
And they're going to break them up into 6-second, 15-second, 30-second, and minute. And then I went back and did voiceover for radio. Oh, it's national. It's the whole. They're leaning into this one, man.
Good.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Good for you.
That's great.
Thank you.
And another role you played was Dr. Curtis Blue, father of, what was that girl's name?
I don't know. She's got a little career going right now.
It starts with a Z.
She's one of those one-name wonders.
Yeah, it starts with a Z. Zendaya.
She ends with an A. Zendaya, right. Yeah.
You played Zendaya's father for more than a couple episodes, and you were terrific in that.
Oh, man, thank you.
How did you find Zendaya? Did you enjoy working with her?
Authentic.
Yeah. She really
authentic. Was. She was her own person from the moment I met her. And you probably don't know this, but I have a picture of she and I on set, and I'm in the pizza parlor, right? And we're going over a father and daughter scene, and it's a father and daughter scene, and they broke for a company 5, a union 5.
Right.
And she went to get up, and I said, "Where are you going?" She goes, "Oh, it's a 5. I'm going to take a 5." I said, "No, you're not. We're not acting. I'm your father. You sit here. You sit here for that 5 minutes, and you think about what you did." Bro, it was like, I think she went, "Oh, this is what acting is." You know what I mean? It's like, I wanted her to understand, yeah, she's a star of a show, but your character, Rocky, has no idea she's in a television show. We're in a moment right now for 5 minutes. Let's just stay in that moment. And she did. And boy, oh boy, this young lady has taken to her career so beautifully. I'm so proud of her. It was an honor. I loved coming to do the show all the time. It was a fun character to play. And
then we had you back on as Agent LaChance in an episode of Girl Meets World.
Well, that was the one written by Will, right?
Yes. Yep. Will Friedle.
Yeah, Will Friedle. Will's a good friend of mine. I love Will, and I love you guys, and I love Jeff, who's the dude, Jeff Franklin, and Frank. Anywhere you are, I'm going to come play.
And because I had Joel Zwick with me.
That's so much the better, brother. You're just sweetening the pot right now, right, Billy?
That's it. That's quite heavy.
We had
they're speechless over here.
Heavy company.
We had Joel on the podcast. We said, "Hey, Joel, how you doing?" And then we said good night.
Sat back. Yeah, he was terrific.
We sat back, and that's exactly right. So much energy he's had. He's a terrific director, and He's a
He
great.
looked like he was vaccinated with a photograph needle. It just kept coming out, and he just kept flowing. It was good stuff. But really, I mean, really, talk about a guy who knew his craft. I mean, he just didn't stop. And
Oh, yeah.
memories.
And he loves it.
Yeah.
He just loves it. To this day, he loves directing. He just, and that's, I guess, Frank, isn't that why we keep doing it? It's like, it's love. It's, hey, money's money. That's great. And I like making money and stuff, but there's a lot of ways to make money. This is unique to me. This is my legacy as well. So
Sure.
I have a certain reverence for it, but I think it's so special. And I think the people in it are so special that I feel honored to be a part of the tribe.
When Seinfeld hit big, and you were doing Jackie Chiles, which of course is such an iconic character, I can never look at you and not think of that character because it's a remarkable character. Did you have to take the mustache off? Was it becoming a problem in public? Did people recognize you then?
I rehearsed all week without a mustache and glasses. Show day, which is like everything's locked and loaded. Show day. Larry goes, give him a mustache and glasses.
Wow.
Like that day, I didn't even know what it looked like with it.
Unbelievable.
Until we put it on in makeup on shoot day.
And there you have it.
So,
and there you have it.
That's it.
And exponentially, the character got twice as funny.
Oh, you froze.
And if Groucho Marx was alive, he'd tell you that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Could you repeat that, Phil? You froze a little bit, so we couldn't hear what Groucho would have said.
Oh, I'm sorry. My internet. I'll tell you. I told you, Frank. My daughter was playing a volleyball tournament.
Yeah.
All the girls were out there because they won it.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's great.
And they're raging. So I'm away from my router in my bedroom. But what I said was a fake mustache is way funnier than a real mustache any day. And Groucho Marx, if he was alive, would tell you that.
Yep. And you're a pretty big car enthusiast, aren't you? You drive
big time.
You're driving a Lamborghini?
Well, it's a Lamborghini engine. It's an Audi R8 V10.
Which means nothing to me.
One of my best friends in the world. Yeah, well, you're not a car guy, but you are a sports guy. So my daughter winning meant a lot to you. I know that.
It did, for sure.
No, I'm into cars. I'm into that kind of stuff. I'm not an adrenaline junkie at all. I just love life. And to me, I've gone to race school. I've been trained to race cars and to drive cars on a racetrack. I love that. I'm a martial artist, full stop. I love that. I'm not a fighter per se, but I love the training and the tradition. And I mean, I wouldn't fight me if I was not me, because I might hurt you. But I love the discipline of it. I love the specifics of it. It just opens me up. So driving is the same. Fast cars are the same.
Yeah, driving, I would imagine, it's sort of like running. You spend a lot of time with yourself. I mean, this is just you in the car. I mean, it forces you to be alone with yourself. So it's got to be a lot.
Yes. It's therapy. It is really therapeutic. It's in an interesting way. It's very therapeutic. As a matter of fact, I took my son with me yesterday up this road that we go up here in LA, Angeles Crest Highway, and he got a chance to experience driving an exotic car on the limit for the first time in his life. And I think it just shook that dude up. It changed him exponentially about cars and about how they perform. But yeah, when I'm by myself in my car, it's like, isn't it like that with you? It's like a sanctuary in a way. It's a place you can get away. It can be your office. It could be your, your bar. It could be your restaurant. So I love cars.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a writer or you're a comic or whatever you're doing, if you're acting, to me, it's when your mind is completely at ease that some of the best thoughts slip in from your subconscious. Like in the shower, in a car, driving, walking, running. Anytime when you're not encountering people and you're just letting it go. Like, you're on a mountain in Tibet. You know what I mean? It's just coming to you. You get in touch with the real stuff.
It's exactly. And sometimes it's hard when the noise is too much around you.
What are you currently reading? Aside from the
your
two books. Yeah.
What
authors do you like?
I'm reading all of the Game of Thrones books. I wanted to read them all 5,000 pages. So I'm reading that. What else am I reading? Oh, I'm reading. It's a Martin Luther King Jr. book that I got, A Trumpet of Conscience. I'm reading that. I'm also reading. I read a lot. I'm also reading Soul on Ice by Eldridge Cleaver.
Eldridge Cleaver's
I
book.
read that. Great book. He wrote that while he was in prison, didn't he?
I know.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I had never read it. My dad always had it in his library. I never read it, and so I picked it up because I want to educate myself. I read Martin Luther King Jr.'s words so I can humble myself to greater,
Spoke about your
levels.
son before. Do you think it's going to continue the tradition? You think he's going to be an actor? What do you
Nah. I'm glad they're not an actor. Both he and my daughter, they went away from this business. They saw me go through whatever I went through. They don't need this stuff. They're smarter than me.
That's good.
That's a great thing to be able to say, by the way.
That's even.
I can say that about my daughters. I can't say that about my son. My son, the old adage, alligators raise alligators. My son is me, and that's not a good thing.
And your daughters are two of your three wives or somebody like that.
My three wives. My daughters are their own people, which is a good thing. But it's a real pleasure to meet you, man. I can't tell you how much my son does quotes about that show, and particularly was Jackie Chiles, and he does the whole bit, And tell me something. You said before that there's a little preacher in the character. I see a little Jesse Jackson in there. I mean, I know it's. Yeah. I mean, especially with the loquaciousness of it all.
You're feeling it.
Yeah. I mean,
Jackie's not in court; he's holding court.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Great.
So that's his vibe, and I think those people that were populated my life. My grandmother was a minister, was an African Methodist Episcopalian minister. So I saw her get the spirit in church. I saw people fall out, get the vapors.
Wow.
And those people are the most colorful, again, authentic, original human beings. And so I wanted Jackie to be something that was set apart in that Seinfeld universe that you weren't ever going to see. I don't care if they hired another black actor or actress or whatever, but Jackie was unique. And that Jackie came into that show, like I said to start this interview, he was the star of his universe. Jerry Seinfeld was a two-bit comedian as far as he was concerned. He didn't care about any of them because he was the man. And so that gives you a lot of power, especially when you go to a show where, it's the number one show in the country. They've been on the cover of Rolling Stone. And they're really looking for you, and Frank can speak to this. They're looking for you to bring it. They're not looking to you to be a fan. They're looking to you to bring as much, if not more, than what they bring, because it makes them look good. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to bring to Seinfeld. And I was very fortunate, Billy, to have a character, an actor, craves their whole career for one or two characters that they can slip into and becomes a second skin. And that's exactly what Jackie is for me.
My friend Howard Morris, who was on Andy Griffith.
Your show of shows, Howard Morris.
And he was also, what was the drunk? Not the drunk. I can't remember his name.
Oh, on Andy Griffith?
Yeah, the rock thrower. Ernest T. He was Ernest T. Bass. He said he did 6 episodes of Ernest T. Bass, but everybody thinks he did 20 or 30 or 40 because it was such a memorable character. I'm imagining you found that with Jackie as well.
Yes, that's absolutely the truth. Jackie has resonated far beyond my wildest dreams, and I had no idea that they could utilize an attorney that often in the show. But I guess you never cut funny, right, Frank?
You never cut
that
funny.
That makes a lot of sense.
You never cut funny. So, Phil, let me ask you: your dad, how did he become an actor? I know there was probably show business in your genes because your father was, or his father was a jazz trumpeter. But how did that evolve? Because you were born in Iowa City, weren't you? And how did he get his start? And when did you make the move to L.A.?
He was going to the State University of Iowa with my mother, living in married student housing. That's when I was born. He had a communications professor by the name of Paul Heinberg. Paul said to him, "You are wasting your time in this class. You need to be on the stage." My father also had a radio station or radio show on campus at the time. It was a jazz radio station. My father's father was the second horn for Duke Ellington. So he came from show business. He grew up with Ella Fitzgerald babysitting him. So he was familiar with the shine of showbiz, right, we say. but he wasn't called to it until Paul Heinberg dropped that dime on him and said, "Hey, man, you're beautiful. You sound amazing. I know that you're charismatic. You will eat it up." So he got into that and got into a road company of A Raisin in the Sun. And
in Iowa, or
down to LA. He traveled to Seattle. He moved to Seattle. He and my mom had kind of split for a minute. He went to Seattle to try to make a living as a lumberjack. What? And he ended up gravitating back towards the theater because Seattle has an amazing amount of theaters per capita. And he got involved in A Raisin in the Sun. They brought that show down to LA. Some people saw it. He got into Ben Casey and opposite Sammy Davis Jr. It was a seminal episode of that show. And my dad wrote his ticket after that.
Wow. Fantastic.
That's a great story.
Again, the right time, the right place,
guy.
the right break, and be ready to walk through the door when it opens.
Yep.
That's the big thing, right?
Stay ready. You ain't got to get ready.
Yeah.
Right.
If you
Be
are
ready,
ready,
don't gotta get
I
ready.
haven't heard that before,
But that's perfect.
Perfect.
And we've had so many people on the show to talk about luck, to talk about being the circumstances, but of course, paying the dues, doing the work, and be ready. You don't have to get ready. We haven't heard that before, but that's right on the money.
I got a question. Phil, how you doing? It's Derek.
Hey, buddy.
You are into martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
So which form of martial arts?
Okay.
What are you good at?
Well, I've been studying Wing Chun Kung Fu for over 30 years now. My Sifu was a man named Hawkins Chung. He was inside Kung Fu Man of the Year in 2004. I'm the guy in the picture getting my face smashed by him in it. I started martial arts when I was 7, when my father started Mission Impossible, and they started to study the martial arts so it looked accurate in the show. I then studied with a master Bong Su Han in Hapkido Karate. And I finally found my Sifu, Hawkins Chung, who passed away a couple of years ago, because I was a huge Bruce Lee fan. Right. And Bruce Lee studied Wing Chun Kung Fu. And I want to be like Bruce Lee. But I never found that when I was a kid. I found it later when I was an adult. And thank goodness I did, because it's such a beautiful art. I've learned so much about myself and my inner spirit. I've become proficient in it. I'm in 2 Hall of Fames for my time served and sweat equity. I've trained all over the country. And I was supposed to be at a convention today called Dragon Fest in Burbank, but I am here with you, amazing.
Well, we're so fortunate that your daughter had a volleyball tournament.
Well,
so that you're available to be with us after that tournament.
Right. I got some more questions, because that's, you spoke about profound, or learning something about yourself that's profound. I'd love to know what that is. Like, what do you, or a better question would be, what do you think? What is the most profound learning from practicing martial arts?
Humility. Humility. Listen, everybody goes into martial arts or fighting or boxing wanting to be a badass. Trust me, it's just the way it is. It's how we are, especially if you're a man. I don't want to be sexist, but if you're a guy with a lot of testosterone and you're type A, just like me, you want to go and you want to, I'm athletic, I'm fast, I'm quick. And what you start to understand is all that's great, but there's something else at work for you to be a master,
right,
or to be of the highest level. And many people, I call it my third eye opening. And what that means is you move and make moves beyond your conscious mind. And to do that, you have to humble yourself. You have to empty your cup, as Bruce Lee would say. You have to have a void of not knowing, so that you can fill that void with knowledge that will do the things that you say you want to do. And I think that in studying martial arts, first of all, if you go in with too much ego, you're going to get dropped. And that's a real lesson. When you get smacked around and you think you're all that, you're wondering, well, what do I have to do? A lot of people quit when that happens. A lot of people leave, or if it gets too hard, or the stances are too tough, or the training is too difficult. A lot of people drop out. It's thankless to teach martial arts. But if you stick with it and you get beyond your sense of comfort, your own comfortable truth, to understand something that's bigger than you, that has been around longer than you, will be around longer than you're here, then you will reach those levels. you will feel your third eye open. And you can apply that to many things in your life, not just the martial arts, your parenting, your being a husband, your career, your relationships in life period. And so it's a pretty helpful tool when you humble yourself to accept those teachings.
Right.
And what kind of dietary training do you do for your martial arts?
I just eat balanced. I don't stick with anything. I'll have a hamburger in a minute, but I won't have it every day. You know?
Yeah, but we got to get some details on this. We got to get some details on this diet because you're 63, and you look fantastic. So we need to get everybody that's 63 to look like you. So let's talk about breakfast, lunch, and dinner just briefly, if you could.
Okay, I'll have so with breakfast. Dude, I could have 4 eggs and 6 pieces of bacon,
Okay.
2 pieces of toast. I can have that, but I don't eat it every day. The next day I'll have a parfait, meaning I'll have yogurt, granola, and fruit.
Okay.
For lunch I'll have chicken or fish, and then for dinner I might have a steak. I might have fried chicken. I just don't eat that all the time, and I work out like a fiend. So that's a part of it too. It's a meet in the middle kind of thing. I don't want to get too obsessed about anything. Life's so short. What am I doing? Am I going to eat wood and chips and granola and I live another 7 years, but I'm miserable.
Well, you say you work out all the time. For me, working out is, half an hour, 45 minutes. What is a typical workout for you, and how many days a week will you do it? 2 hours?
Yes.
Give us the secrets.
2 hours. I weight lift and I work on one body part a day. And if I'm doing legs, it's all legs, all chest. I'm doing back, it's all back. Then my off days, Frank, Billy, you'll love this. I'll hit a golf ball, go to the driving range. Or I'll have a tennis ball machine and I'll go hit tennis balls. Or I'll go shoot hoops. You know what I mean? I don't play sports much anymore because I'm trying to get out of that competitive craziness. I was very competitive. But I realized that I can't just lift weights and do exercises.
Right.
I have to run and bend and fall down and get up. And, we live at the beach. My daughter played a beach volleyball tournament. So I play beach volleyball. And, that gets your core in line. And I stretch all the time. I mean, I don't want to bore you with it, but it's just a part of my journey.
Right.
This is my journey. And as I get older, I get fewer and fewer training partners and fewer people that want to press it that hard. But I don't care. This is my journey.
I would guess it's pretty much like acting. When you're talking to workouts, you talk about it's discipline, it's dedication, it's perseverance. It's pretty much your journey in life. I mean, that's what you got to do, right? You get turned down, you got to keep going. You got to take it on the shoulder and get knocked down and get up. End of story.
Right. I'm reading a book that you wrote about those very things. It's like, I got it myself, but I am reading it. And those things, they move me, man. The stories of other people who are struggling or challenging or trying to get through stuff, it makes me feel like, oh shoot, I'm not alone. I mean, this is part of it, bro. This is the price you pay for being a human being. It's the struggle. So I want to hear other people struggle. I want to know what coping skills they have and how they got through what they got through. Maybe I can use that in the future. So,
you talk about struggling. You mentioned before that the last episode of Seinfeld, the ensemble cast that was there, a lot of them spun off to their own shows. Why not you? Was there rumors of a Jackie Chiles show spinning off? Did it ever happen? Did anybody approach you with it?
No, it never happened. I was getting ready to do it. I had a holding deal, and they paid me a little bit of money. But the writers that I wanted to use, they used on Michael Richards' jump off on his spinoff. It wasn't really a spinoff, and it didn't do well.
No, it didn't.
It didn't do well, and so they kind of put me on the back burner. I don't know why, because my show would have had nothing to do with that, and Jackie would have been in a completely different universe than that. But they just didn't follow that thread, And who knows? As we see, Jackie ain't dead.
Jackie ain't dead.
Well, and another tribute to your longevity and your attitude is the fact that you've been married for 40 years next year to your wife, Carla?
Just about. Yes, sir. September, 38 years, wow. Maybe 39 in September. Yes, sir.
39 in September and 40 so I've been married 39 in November and 40 in 1983. So it'll be 40 years in 2023. Good
That's real.
times.
Yeah, my first wife, she
real.
broke a leg. I had to shoot her. So it wasn't. Didn't work out, but
These things happen.
what are you going to do?
Happen.
Broke a leg. It wasn't fair to leave her alive.
Well, it's been great having you, Phil.
Oh, my honor.
I want one more question. This is a little bit of a kind of. I just want to touch on something you said at the beginning of the interview. You mentioned, okay, so first of all, your dad was a star. It sort of changed your family's life, when you were 7, 8 years old. And then I think you mentioned something about ego, like later in life, something that you had to get over. So I'm painting the picture of you got a 7-year-old, dad's famous, family starts to make money. I think you guys are living in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So you, for lack of a better phrase, you're a rich kid in Los Angeles. You're a handsome guy.
You're probably at Beverly Hills High School.
We switched to Beverly Hills immediately, like the Clampets.
Yeah. So what was that? What was that like? What were you like as a good-looking fella? Dad's famous, and you're in Los Angeles, the place where that is the best playground for that type of person.
You want the real story?
Yes.
He's asking about your dance card here, I think. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay, for real. We're talking real here. You're my boys. I love you guys. Here we go. The day I moved to Beverly Hills and went to school, I got called the N-word my first day in school.
All right.
I busted that dude's face. They sent me to the principal. My father came down. The principal, Beverly Hills, very Jewish community. Principal starts talking about the Holocaust and Jewish people, and we're kindred spirits, and Philip really shouldn't be doing that, and blah blah blah. My dad looked this dude in his face and said, "Listen, if anybody says that to my son again, I'm going to instruct him to do the exact same thing he did. Respect us, respect him. We got no problems." My dad got up and walked out. So I say that story because even though you say I was a rich kid in LA, man, we were black in America. So
Right.
it didn't mean anything to me that we were rich or that my dad, that was him, And so that was the kind of off-putting part of moving to Beverly Hills and having that transition. What I meant was career-oriented.
Okay.
Was that in my household, I was living with a TV star, and not just somebody who was like on a regular show, but the number one show in the world who changed lives exponentially because he was the first African-American to be in a number one rated television show like that. Bill Cosby was doing I Spy, but that wasn't number one. So when I became an actor, is what I was talking about. My barometer was Bill Cosby, Sidney Poitier, Lou Gossett Jr. And I expected that would be my road. That's my life. It's going to be my journey. You know how fortunate and talented and unbelievably beautiful those people are to have made it where they are. And for me to have that expectation was just hubris.
And they had to work triple hard. Because they're black.
Derek, did that make sense?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, 100%. Yes.
I heard a quote the other day. Shaquille O'Neal's son, was talking about being rich. And Shaquille said, "We're not rich. I'm rich."
That's really good. That's good. Put things in perspective. Make your own way.
Yeah.
It's a hard road out there. It's good stuff.
I told you, my father's from Cleveland, Ohio. He would wake us up at 2 a.m. Maybe I told Frank this. And he would bring us in his office, and there would be trash on the floor or something that we didn't pick up. And he would bring us out to that trash. He'd say, "You didn't pick this trash up. I don't work this hard and leave those projects for you to leave this trash on the ground. You don't know what it's like out there. Those streets are hard." And we got that my whole life. I believed it. This man was telling me the truth. I got it. Didn't matter that we were growing up in the Golden Ghetto. That street is hard, man, and you better have your stuff tight. So that's my upbringing.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Billy, any closing words?
I like the Golden Ghetto comment there. Yeah, doesn't matter if it was the Golden Ghetto. And like you said, it didn't matter to that kid who spit out that epithet at you. But it mattered to him after you got done with him. He paid attention after that. I bet he didn't use that word too often after that.
No, sir.
Well, good stuff, Phil. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you, man. And my son is going to be
Thank you.
over the moon when I tell him that I interviewed. If I tell him Phil Morris, he might not. If I tell him I interviewed Jackie Chiles, he's going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
All right, guys.
Pleasure.
you're a good guy, Phil, and I'll look forward to our next lunch and keep in touch, will you?
Anytime, guys.
You
Take
bet.
care.
thank you
Appreciate
Thank you
much,
so
man.
much.
Pleasure meeting you. Really.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for reading the books.
Always.
Big deal for us. That's great, man.
Good
Just
guy.
great. What a terrific guy.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, like Derek said, like you're rich in L.A., but you're still black in America. It's like
I didn't say that.
Well,
No,
it
you
was
did.
Phil, but
you did, but you brought it up.
There it is.
you will-
America right there.
you will say it soon.
You didn't say it yet.
You will say it soon.
If you be ready, you don't have to get ready. That's
Yep.
pretty good stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Hey,
Actually, before you say that, before you jump to that, the story about being called the N-word in school.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me in third grade. Exactly the same.
but
thing.
you were in Mississippi.
Yeah. it's
Well,
true,
you
it's
should
true.
have been expected.
Well, the same thing happened to my son in Orange County, and we're talking in the 2000s.
Wow.
So,
But Orange County,
yeah, but it's
Mississippi, in the
Mississippi in the freaking 70s.
Yeah.
70s.
it's
70s
crazy.
and Orange County in the 2000s. So
Well, it was nice to hear these read both books and enjoyed them. Anyway, that was terrific.
It is for sure.
You should take a tip from Jackie Chiles. Get yourself the books.
Absolutely.
Get If These Lips Could Talk. Get Confessions of a Bronx Bookie. Get Lamar's Gamble.
And get combustible.
And get Combustible. Read, for
knows?
God's sake.
So what's your story about triactin? What was that?
My friend, Frankie Chicklets, my friend Frankie.
Yeah.
He's married to a nurse like I am. Jennifer's a nurse, and it's a good thing, when you're over 70 to marry a nurse. It's a really good idea. You start saying,
Especially a nurse in her 50s.
well, that's just pure luck. See, if you're not after my money, Frank, I know that. She's not after my money. Good news. Anyway, Frankie, my friend Frankie Chicklets, who's been on the show on 9/11, he's married to a nurse. And he was a karate guy. He was a big time martial arts guy. So he's got a lot of aches and pains, and he's telling his wife, I tell you, my back this morning, I don't know what it is this morning, my shoulder's killing me. And she goes, try acting. She's a nurse. And he says, what is that, a painkiller? She says, try acting. What is it, a blood thinner? Try acting like a man and stop whining. Which I love because she just leveled him, And he called me up and said, she got me good. She got me good. She did.
What else you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about, my brother? You want to talk about
Talk about what a good job Derek's doing.
You know what? Yeah, you can see it. You can see it.
You can see it. He's getting more confident every day. His switching is sharper. His
switching is sharper.
His switching is sharper.
Switching was I noticed he's switching a bit too when he's coming into
Not swishing. Switching.
I thought you said he was swishing.
Switching.
Oh, switching.
Switching cameras.
Switching.
He's
Probably
more
the
confident.
same thing that you referred to. Switching. Well, another situation that was shocking about this interview is another person offered some beautiful love notes to Frank.
People. Frank crosses his T's, dots his I's. He don't make a mistake. That's what he does. Connects people.
I'm no Dana Pump.
No, you ain't
Yeah,
no
like
Dana Pump.
Dana Pump.
You couldn't get $5 out of me on a dare.
I'm no Dana Pump, but I do cross my I's and
Yeah, you do.
dot my I's and cross my
You
T's.
do. I love the way you hook up with guys. Well, this guy's an agent. This guy needs an agent. Bing, bing, bing. Make a call. That's good stuff.
Well, I did that because I didn't want to represent him. As much as I love him, I didn't want to represent him because I'm getting out of that business.
That is a tough racket. Huh? You got to be like everything, all things to one person, right?
Yeah. That was the other thing. I got a number of calls over the years in the 80s, especially.
We're talking about being an agent, by the way.
Yeah, we're talking about being an agent, and I turned them all down because I didn't know how to pick one client over the other. So if somebody called me for Rod Carew, and I had, let's say, a Darryl Strawberry, or I had a Harmon Killer Brew, I didn't know how to say, well, how could you choose one over the other? In my mind, I just wanted to represent one person, so I represented one person in baseball, which was Rod, and one person in basketball. That way, I never had to make a choice.
Wow.
So I could never make too much money. I was limiting myself, but I was, had another career anyway. So that was like a side hustle.
But you thought you were doing the job right. That's the way
Yeah.
to do the job. That's the
That's
way
the
to
way I
approach
could
the job.
do the job. I don't know. I don't understand how people with 20 clients say, I need somebody for a Coke commercial. And how do you pick between guys?
You can't spread your loyalty too thin. It's like
Yeah.
having 10 mistresses.
Yeah.
1 or 2 mistresses should be enough. For any man.
Say, Billy, say goodnight.
Good night, Billy. Say good night.
Thank you, Derek.
Oh, thank you guys. You've been so fantastic. I mean, the energy and enthusiasm and magnetism that is being portrayed in this show is.
Put me in, coach. I don't smoke. Good night, Derek.
Good night, Derek.
Good night, fellas.
We'll see you next week.